Hey guys, I'm back to the channel. Welcome to another live stream. Liverpool are an absolute shambles. Liverpool are an absolute shambles. That should come as no surprise to anybody considering how our season's gone so far. Every time it looks like we may have a little bit of a glimmer of light at the end of a very long and dark tunnel. That light quickly gets vaporized, and it's normally down to our own fault. And certainly the fault, majorly, of a manager who should have gone a long time ago. Yes, everybody needs to take accountability. Everybody needs to take responsibility. The board needs to take responsibility for the fact that they've let this go on for this long without doing anything about it. The players need to take responsibility because we all know that they're better than this. But of course, if you look at all of these symptoms, the main bulk behind it is the fact that this manager is completely different to the manager of last year. Arne Slot has changed his approach. He's changed everything that made Liverpool so good last year and why Liverpool managed to win their 20th top-tier league title to the point now where we are unbearable. We're unbearable, but not in like a good way, not in like an annoying sort of way. We're unbearable to watch. Watching us is painful. It's torture at times. It feels like it's a chore rather than a privilege or like a or like a reward for, I don't know, maybe for the working class people, like doing a long, hard week of work. Remember when it used to be like, oh, I can't wait to watch Liverpool play again. Felt so good to watch us play some great football, win games, go through certain challenges and come out on top. Now, it's painful. It's absolutely painful. It's like pulling teeth. That's how painful it is watching Liverpool right now. But doesn't this all sound too familiar? Doesn't this all sound too repetitive? Because it is. Watching Liverpool every week is very much repetitive. It's Arne Slot doing the same things week after week after week and expecting different results. And every time he does change it, is in a must-win game for Liverpool. Look at Galatasaray, for example. Changed a few things here and there. We won the game. Why? Because his job was on the line. But then we go to Brighton and we get outplayed, outclassed, outmaneuvered, outmuscled, outthought. Everything, every metric we got outplayed with against Brighton. Same happened with Spurs. Same happened with Wolves. It was appalling on all accounts in the Premier League. And it's getting repetitive and it's getting boring. And you know it's getting repetitive and boring because every Liverpool content creator is saying the same stuff week after week after week after week. I apologize for my voice, by the way. I've got a cold. What a way to start off the week. Like, absolutely appalling. But, yeah, great. But every Liverpool content creator, like I say, is saying the same things week after week after week after week after week. It's almost as repetitive as what we are seeing on the pitch week after week after week after week after week. You want to know what the only saving grace is for Arne Slot this season as to why we might get top 4, top 5 into the Champions League for next season? Our saving grace is potentially the possibility that Chelsea might be worse than us right now. And not worse than us overall. They haven't had a worse season than us because we've spent 450 odd million and are the Premier League defending champions. But they might just be worse than us because their board run their club more like a business rather than a football club. And even then it's not a guarantee. Everton are currently 3 points behind us. If Brentford get their act together, they could overtake us. There are like 4 other teams that are below us right now, not including Chelsea, by the way, that might overtake us going forward, because we have opened the door massively to the possibility that they will overtake us and possibly make it into Champions League, or maybe even some form of just Europe in general for next season. This weekend was perfect for Aston Villa. A big win over West Ham. United dropped points. They got away with it, by the way, because obviously Liverpool and Chelsea both lost. So they can blow a huge sigh of relief. But Liverpool lost in an embarrassing way. Chelsea lost in an even more humiliating way. Brentford couldn't take advantage with a draw against Leeds. Everton with a massive win over Chelsea, as I mentioned before. It's awful. It's awful right now what is happening with this club. And we're a massive shambles. And even behind the scenes, we're a massive shambles. Even behind the scenes, it is god-awful. Michael Edwards sold a promise of multi-club ownership by FSG. Now, apparently, that's not happening. So he could be off. And maybe he's taking Richard Hughes with him, because you know how close they are. There's talk that Richard Hughes might be leaving. Our technical director may be leaving as well. There is all sorts of talk that there's going to be a lot of change behind the scenes. So there's going to be even more instability at the club going forward. There's going to be even more question marks at the club going forward. This once seemingly very stable football club is now in a complete and utter shambles, both on and off the pitch, in my opinion. No guarantees, just repetition that is boring the life out of me and everybody else watching this club. Big up to each and every single one of you that's already in the building this morning. Smash a like on the video and obviously hit the subscribe button. Do me 2 massive favors, people, especially if you are new. Welcome to the channel. Big up to each and every single one of you for already being here. And also get involved in the chat. Would love to hear what you have to say about the football that played out this weekend. Not just necessarily Liverpool, but maybe you want to talk about other clubs in the Premier League, or maybe you want to talk about what happened yesterday in the Carabao Cup final as well. We will address those in due time as well. I want to make a video on the Carabao Cup and why it's not the end of the world for Arsenal. But at the same time, I was so glad that City managed to at least take one piece of silverware off of them this season. So very happy about that. But yeah, please do get involved in the chat, whether you're popping in just to say hi, whether you're telling me where you're watching from today, or what you're up to today or this week, or whatever the case may be, or you are talking football with me. Always appreciate you all being here and the interaction from you wonderful, wonderful people. Big up Lucas Talk Dons. He's in the building already. He says, we're going to bottle the league. Big up to you, bro. Hope you're doing well. Can't wait to have you back on YouTube, my friend. But I understand if you want to take some time out. That's really, really cool. It says, we're going to bottle the league. I think that might be a little excessive, dude. Don't get me wrong. I understand the fear. I understand the PTSD that Arteta's set in over the years. The thing I will say on this, I don't want to go too much in it because I want to make a kind of video on it later on. The thing I will say on it is that as bad as what yesterday was, the big decisive point in the entire game was playing Kepa rather than sticking with David Raya. Arteta should have gone with... Arteta shouldn't have played with fire or, you know, ran the risk of that happening. Now, I know that City did as well, but, he's Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola can do whatever he likes. Arteta doesn't have that luxury and leeway of being a serial winner in multiple competitions. So Pep can get away with it a little bit more. Arteta made the mistake of keeping Kepa in over David Raya, and he paid the price for it. because that's the main reason as to why you lost yesterday. Now, does it really affect you going forward? Maybe mentally it could do. Maybe if City were a bit closer, then mentally it could do. I mean, the idea is that obviously if City win their game in hand, and if they beat you in a few weeks' time, then of course they're only 3 points behind one win. The thing that sticks for me, though, is the fact that City are still... I don't trust City to go on a run of 7 games unbeaten or 7 winning, or a 7-game winning streak, should I say? Or 8-game winning streak in their case, because obviously they've got the game in hand. I don't trust City to go on an 8-game winning streak. I back Arsenal to win more points than what City do come the end of the season, and that may include City beating you in the Premier League game that's coming up. It's not out of the realms of possibility for City to beat your lot, but then drop silly points to, I don't know, maybe, I don't even know who they've got coming up, like a Crystal Palace or something. I don't even know if they've got a Crystal Palace, but someone like that. They drop silly points to a team like that. I think you'll be fine for the league. It does raise some doubt, though, over the FA Cup, and I think it does raise some doubt in the Champions League. But I think you'll be fine for the league, bro. I wouldn't go a little bit overboard right now, but I can understand at least where you're coming from with that. Big up Dean, who's already in the building. Lovely to have you here, bro. He says, "Morning, Fletch. I called the Brighton game. A defeat even before a ball had been kicked. We've become toothless, pathetic team that will roll over for anybody," is what Dean is saying here. And yeah, it was that, wasn't it? It was very, very poor. It got even worse, I thought, when Ekitike went off injured. That's when it got even worse, and that was in the opening 10 minutes, because at least we had something going forward in the opening 10 minutes. And then, of course, Ekitike goes off. And rather than roll the dice, rather than go for someone like a Chiesa or an Ngamoa, he throws on another midfielder in Curtis Jones. Like, what were you doing? And then he went, right, we'll play Gakpo through the middle. And Wirtz, obviously, through the middle. But he rather than have Gakpo as the most advanced forward, our outlet and most advanced player was Wirtz. What? It made no sense. It made no sense because Wirtz is our most creative player. So he got hung out to dry on Saturday. Everyone's like, oh, Wirtz was terrible. Wirtz was poor. There's a reason why he was poor. It's because he had no one to play off. Because he was meant to be our most advanced player, apparently. And when he did actually have someone to play off, the person we had to play off is Cody frigging Gakpo, who's absolutely useless. Absolutely useless. There was a moment in the second half where we managed to get the ball forward to Wirtz. He's the only man advanced for Liverpool. He doesn't have the pace to go beyond the last defender of Brighton. So he has to kind of hold his run up for Gakpo to make a run. Only problem is Gakpo makes a run that basically runs into him. And so they get in each other's way a little bit. Wirtz got hung out to dry. He shouldn't be playing that role. It makes no sense. He's our most creative player. Let him create. At least if he had Ngamoa on the left, he could have used him. We could have stretched the play out a little bit, but no, instead, he decides to go more conservative. He goes with Curtis Jones, and even then, being more conservative, they still ran the midfield. They still dominated. They still made a number of opportunities. We were shockingly bad on the day. It made absolutely no sense as to why, A, he would choose Jones to replace Ekitike, and B, as to why he would play Florian Wirtz as our most advanced player on the day. Drop Gakpo, trust more in Chiesa, trust more in Ngamoa, and watch how this team will... It may not win every game, but it might be a little bit more exciting to watch. And it might actually be great to see some players that actually want to fight. Because after 50 odd minutes or so, they didn't have any fight in them. They were done. They were shattered. Their legs had gone. Their legs had gone in that game. And Brighton grew from strength to strength in that entire game. We got dominated in midfield by Pascal Gross and James Milner. Yakuba Minter had a really good battle against Jeremy Frimpong, I thought. I thought it was a kind of probably leaning more towards Minter's favour, but I thought it was a really good battle. And then once Frimpong went off, Minter just destroyed Curtis Jones at right back, destroyed him. And even when Matoma came on, Matoma basically walked through our defence. And then a 35-year-old Danny Welbeck just absolutely finished us off. It's unbelievable as to how much we got outplayed and outclassed on Saturday. Whether it be the players or whether it mostly be the fault of the manager. That's what happened. 10th defeat now in a row in the league. It's a joke. I hear you 100%. It's not the fact that we lose league games. It's the way we lose them. No fight, no passion, and no effort. Yeah, you're right. Like I say, again, we're repeating ourselves, bro. We've said all season long. The fact that the fact that we've been saying that all season long. The fact that we basically come on these streams and basically said, you know, we can take losing as long as we put in a good performance. As long as we can say like, oh, you know what? We put in a really good performance, but we just didn't take our chances. There's at least something to go off. There's been nothing to go off all season. There's been nothing to kind of make us go, you know what? We lost today. But I saw something in this team. I saw a lot of fight. I saw a lot of effort. I saw patterns of play. I saw the team working together as a unit. I saw this group of players gel together. And it's just going to take a little bit of fine tweaking and tuning to get things just rolling again. And we just need that little bit of luck to maybe inspire some confidence in the team. We've had none of that this season. And every time we do, it's in a one-off game. Slot needs to win it. He changes a few things up. He goes against his principles. We win the game. And lots of people think, right, this is the turning point. Here we go. Liverpool are going to be off again. And then we go to our next game and then we revert back to type. It's the same repetitive stuff over and over and over again. And it ain't getting any better. And we constantly are sold lies. And that's why I hate the fact that we're going into an international break right now. Because the international break right now, he's obviously not going to be sacked. As much as I can come on these streams and rant and rave about how much he should be sacked, he ain't going to be sacked. We know that. He should be, but he ain't going to be. Which is why now we've got the international break. And wouldn't be surprised if they got more on his slot propaganda. Stick with the team. Stand by the team. It's going to get better than this. Yeah, it will get better than this as soon as he goes and you bring in a manager that actually knows what the hell he's doing. Slot looks out of his depth. He looks out of his mind. It's just appalling. It's just appalling right the way across the board. PSG will kill this Liverpool team and we could very easily see Liverpool out of the Champions League. This PSG team will rip us apart. Well, 2 weeks after the international break's over, bro, you're very much right. Our season could be over. We've got City in the FA Cup. They're going to be up for it, especially after yesterday's result for them in the Carabao Cup final. Then, obviously, PSG. And then we have Fulham in the Premier League, I think, sandwiched between those games. Our season's over as soon as we hit back off the international break. I don't see us beating PSG. Don't see us beating City. We'll only have top 4, top 5 to play for. And you know what's really, really going to annoy me the most? Is the fact that in the league especially, you know, obviously it'll annoy me that we don't win the Champions League. It'll annoy me that we don't win the FA Cup. But you know what's really going to annoy me the most? Is the fact that in a month's time, we play Everton in the Merseyside derby. Everton are 3 points behind us. There's a real possibility that Everton are going to finish above us. And that above all else is absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. And yet this bold-headed fraud has made it a possibility that could become a reality. It's completely unacceptable. I'm so embarrassed by Liverpool, and I'm even more embarrassed to say I'm a Liverpool supporter. I don't know this club anymore. I've become so detached from it, to be honest. I've become very detached. Remember when we used to think, oh, great, Liverpool are playing in a couple of days' time? Now, if it gets to that point, I'm like, oh, great, Liverpool are playing in a day's time. Great, gotta put myself through that again. I couldn't care less right now. I hate watching us. We're that boring. We're that predictable. How did we score the goal on Saturday, by the way? Because Brighton gifted it us. Our set pieces were off. We created very little from open play, barring a good chance for Curtis Jones, which forced a very good save from the goalkeeper. We didn't create a great deal from open play. Our best chance of scoring goals originates from the opposition gifting us those chances. It's a shambles, bro. An absolute shambles. I'm not even mad anymore. Losing games is all we are good for and expected of us. I like I say, I hold my hands up and say I was wrong. I thought we'd win on Saturday. I genuinely thought we'd win on Saturday. I predicted 2-1. I said that Brighton play away, that will open the door for Liverpool in terms of them gifting us opportunities. Apart from one moment that obviously Milos Kerkez incredibly anticipated very, very well. That was it. That's all they gave us. They gave us one chance and we took it. Apart from that, we had nothing. They created 5 big chances in comparison to our 1. And that one chance was gifted to us. We were done. We're done. Luke says we're going to bottle the league after yesterday. Like I say, bro, I think you'll be fine. I think the league will be fine. Arsenal never turn up. I have a nasty feeling Manchester City will win the Premier League. I just find it baffling. Again, we'll jump down this route because Luke has obviously brought it up. So fair play. I just have this horror. The thing I can't get my head around is the fact that every big game this season, you've played the exact same way. Whether it be against Liverpool, both home and away, whether it be against Man United a little bit, whether it be against Man City a little bit, before obviously before they actually scored in that game, or whether it be there was another game, I can't remember which one it was, but every big game this season that you played against big opposition, you played the same way. You played this negative, conservative style in which it's like, just don't lose. Just don't lose. Even though you should be on the ascendancy, even though you should be on the front foot, even though you should be smelling blood, especially against Liverpool. The first half, you were fine. You were seemingly pretty comfortable. You had a game plan that you were working to perfection. City barely had a sniff in that first half. And then in the second half, City changed up their tactics and you went, right, let's be a bit more reserved. It's how I would expect you to play if you were going against them. Because let's not forget, like, if you go and get a draw against City in a few weeks' time, that is a perfect result for you lot. That's a perfect result. That's how I would expect you to play in the league. Bit more negative, bit more reserved, and maybe try and hit them on the counter-attack because City obviously need to go out and get a win. But you played them in a cup like that, in a cup final. It made no sense to me. And I know there were some bad performances out there. I thought Trossard was abysmal. Zubimendi was terrible. Saka, Starboy, least said about him, the better. But at the same time, in saying that, like, why were you playing that way? It made no sense to me in a cup final. Play that way in the league in a few weeks' time, and you might get a result, barring, major errors from your players. You might get a result, and it might obviously turn everything back in your favor. But I would be frustrated as an Arsenal fan watching Arteta approach every big game in the same fashion and expecting different results, because it doesn't work. To say you've got players that from open play should be playing some nice, beautiful, attractive football, you don't really show it that often. You don't really show it that often. I know, and I'm not on this bandwagon of set piece FC. You don't score goals from open play. You obviously do. But there's so much more that can be unlocked with this team. There's so much more that can be unlocked. But he doesn't want to release the handbrake. Every now and again, against like a Burnley or something, you probably will. But it's Burnley. A lot of teams should be doing that against Burnley, with all due respect. Liverpool, for me, need to get rid of Slot. I agree, bro. I really, really do agree. Good morning, Captain. Everton will finish above us if Slot is still in charge of Liverpool. That is the horrible, horrible reality, bro. Big up to you. Hope you're doing well. But yes, that is the horrible reality of what we are facing right now. The horrible reality that we are facing is the fact that Everton, our fierce rivals, a team that hasn't finished above us since, I think, COVID? Did they finish? No, it wasn't COVID. Long before that. Yeah. It's terrible. It's horrible to think about. Liverpool board should go for Roberto Mancini, ex-Italy manager, ex-Man City manager. Big up Dan, who's in the building. Hope you're doing well. Not really on board with the Mancini thing. I've got to be honest with you, dude. Or Luis Enrique. Now, Luis Enrique would be my dream appointment. I would love Luis Enrique. That would be my number one appointment. But there's a perfectly good manager out there that is currently free, that's currently not tied to a job, in Xabi Alonso. We should have just got Xabi Alonso in. It makes sense. It's perfect. But apparently not. Apparently not. Why play Kepa is what Luca is asking here. Yeah. It showed loyalty because I think he's been your cup goalkeeper, hasn't he? So I guess it showed loyalty. But sometimes loyalty can backfire. And I know that from a Liverpool fan. Again, we trusted in the likes of James Milner, Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, Naby Keita for way too long than what we should have done. Even though they had injury issues, even though they fell off, even though their legs had gone and all of that stuff. We showed loyalty to that kind of midfield and midfield depth for way too longer than what we should. And it cost us to drop off, especially after that potential quad season. That was where everything fell apart for us. And the main bulk of that stemmed from those legs going in those players. So we know what it's like to have loyalty backfire on us, but that would be that would be the reason why Kepa played yesterday. He shouldn't have done it. He should have gone with the more tried and trusted David Raya. I know it would have been harsh on Kepa, but let's be real here. It's not exactly like Kepa is going to be the number one goalkeeper going forward. David Raya is and always will take that spot, especially whilst Kepa is there at the club. And like I said at the top of the video, I know that Trafford was in goal for City, but Guardiola has more of a pedigree, more of a luxury, and more leeway in making those kinds of decisions, in trusting his backup goalkeeper and things like that. He's at least won trophies using his backup goalkeeper like Ortega. So he's got more of a leeway of doing it. Arteta doesn't, and that's why it backfired yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if we bottled the league. Who do you think will win Premier League from here? Like I said, I'm still backing Arsenal too. And it's not even necessarily because Arsenal. It's not even because I necessarily trust in Arsenal. I mean, I trust them to potentially get more points than City, even if Arsenal do lose to City going forward. Like I say, it's more of a fact that I don't necessarily trust City to go on an 8-game winning streak, which I think they would probably need to go on if they are to obviously topple your boys at the top of the table. Not at the realms of possibility. We've seen the City of old do it, but that's the key point. It's the City of old that would do that. City in their prime. City with the likes of KDB, Aguero, a fit and firing Phil Foden. You know, players like that. That's what the City of old would do. This isn't the City of old. This is a City that has dropped points to the likes of Brighton, Forest, West Ham. That's my bit that I don't trust. So, therefore, I'm going to pick Arsenal. I hope you do bottle it. Don't get me wrong. As a Liverpool fan that has a hard time standing some of your fans, some of your fan base, like, I can't stress that enough. Some of your fans, like yourself and like Josh, aka True Gunner, very, very good. Like their content, like the stuff that they say and things like that. Really do respect what you guys are doing and stuff like that. But there's just some of your fan base online that are crazy, that are deluded, that are just damn right weird. So for those kinds of for those people, I kind of hope you don't win it. In all honesty, not only that as well, but you've got a very favourable run in the FA Cup. You've got a favourable run to the Champions League final. I don't want to see you win multiple trophies this year. I don't want to see you win a treble, which again, as I mentioned in the preview to the Carabao Cup game, the quad is on until it's not. Well, the quad's no longer on the table. But you know what is now on the table? A treble. The treble is on the table until it's not. Do I expect you to win the treble? Probably not. But there is no doubt about it that you could win a double. No doubt about it that you can win a double. If you say get Leeds or West Ham in the semi-final of the FA Cup, that's an easy gateway to the final for you. You're going to probably get to, at the very least, the semi-finals. I feel like Atletico and Barcelona has the potential to maybe knock you out of the competition. But again, I think you will still have the odds in your favour going forward into those games. So I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. Arsenal got to the Etihad. Arsenal need to win all of their games and draw to Man City. Again, the odds are in your favour in that game. You can play like you did yesterday, but just eliminate the errors. If you eliminate the errors, you probably come away with that game with a draw. But you did it in a cup game for some reason, which made no sense. Arsenal can't lose to Man City. Agreed. Because like I say, if City win their game in hand and they win against your lot, that's 3 points behind you. One game, I think the goal advantage is still in your favour. The goal difference is still in your favour. So, yeah, it's not perfect for your boys, but at the same time, it's not like it's impossible. It's not like it's unlikely. Let's put it that way. Yeah, big up to you, bro. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're doing really well. Liverpool board should go for Roberto Mancini, ex-Italy, ex-Man City manager, or Luis Enrique. They need to sack Slot during the international break. Keeps making up excuses every time we lose a match. It's damage control. Every time I hear this guy speak, it's damage control for him. It's almost like he's preparing himself for a job elsewhere and he's trying to protect himself, blaming the players, blaming the board, blaming whoever. Not maybe directly, maybe indirectly, but he's doing all of that stuff. He's like protecting himself. He's basically saying like, this is not on me. This is not my fault. This is the players. This is whoever. It's really, really bad. Like I say, I'm not necessarily on board with Mancini, but Luis Enrique, that would be a dream. I don't think it would be quite as simple to get him out of PSG right now. So, like I say, Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso for me is the way to go. Unless you can guarantee me that Luis Enrique will leave PSG and go to Liverpool, I will back Alonso all the way on this. Plus, I have a horrible feeling that Luis Enrique is probably eyeing up Man City, assuming that Man City stay in the Premier League, of course, and we ever get an answer to the 115 charges. I've got a feeling that Luis Enrique could potentially be going to City as the successor to Pep Guardiola. And that is really terrifying. That's a really terrifying prospect. James Milner ran that midfield. He really did. He really did. I mean, he injured Ekatike, which wasn't great. But apart from that, Pascal Gross, ran that midfield. But then again, it doesn't take a lot, does it? I don't want to take anything away from Brighton. They fully deserved the win. They were absolutely excellent on the day. But every midfield that we come up against has a field day against ours. Because Gravenberch and McAllister offer very little to no protection to our back line. They offer very little to no protection on our back line. Konate and Van Dijk are constantly exposed. They don't cover themselves in much glory, but at the same time, like, if they're constantly exposed, eventually they're going to be found out. And Gravenberch has been poor for the past several weeks. McAllister's been up and down. But for me, I don't get it. I don't get it. Gravenberch is another one that's been poor. Gravenberch has been poor. Gakpo's been poor. Again, we're saying the same things over and over again. The only two players, like I mentioned in my match reaction, the only two players that can come away from that game on Saturday with their heads held high is Mamadashvili and Engamoa. And Engamoa only had a cameo appearance of like 15, 20 minutes or whatever it was. Engamoa played 15 minutes and did more in those 15 minutes than Gakpo did, than what anybody else did. Everybody was poor. I thought Kirkes was actually okay. But after that, I'm struggling to think of who was actually decent. Wirtz got hung out to dry. Gakpo was typical Gakpo. Gravenberch was terrible. McAllister, slightly below average. Konate and Van Dijk, probably the worst players on the pitch. Frimpong had a good battle with Minter, but couldn't get into the game. It was actually difficult at times to work out who was playing at right back when Frimpong was on the pitch. It was actually difficult to work out whether it was Soboslai or whether it was him. There's just so many problems. There's so many problems with this team. And it just comes from seemingly a lack of leadership, a lack of organization, a lack of vision, from the main man, the man that has to be the brains behind it all. It's just a lack of all of those things. because they just look like they're clueless on the pitch. Like, when he gets rid of all of the overcomplicatedness, and when we have to win a game, and he basically goes, right, you're more comfortable playing this role, so you play that role. You're comfortable playing this role, so you play that role. That's when we're fine. That's when we're fine. Look at Galatasaray. Look at Real Madrid. 2 prime examples of games where we look so comfortable. Everybody knew their role. Everybody did their role to great effect. It was all going really, really well. And then you have games like Wolves, games like Tottenham, games like this past weekend against Brighton, where he basically goes, right, McAllister, you're going to do a lot of running today. I know it's not your game, but you're going to do a lot of running today. Gravenberch, you're going to be not doing everything but your actual job. Wirtz, you're going to be playing as the last man for us. You're going to be our outlet. Even though you're our main creative force, you're going to have barely anything to create because you're going to be the last man. And when you do have someone up with you, it's going to be Cody Gakpo. And we know how useless he is. But I won't ever sub him or take him off or anything, because why would I do that to the person that I love so, so much? As I said, people, it doesn't matter who we play. It doesn't matter what the situation is. We don't play well. Doesn't matter. For people that are basically calling out Salah, Salah wasn't there on Saturday. Look how we played. It's not down to just Ekitike either. It wasn't just because Ekitike came off in the opening 10 minutes that we were poor. We still should have players that can at least make more of a game of that than what it was. The fact that it was 2-1, I once again state, absolutely, totally, and utterly flattered us. Flattered us at 2-1. It should have been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However many. Brighton had an incredible amount of opportunities to score. Some of it was through last-ditch tackling or blocking. Some of it was just they didn't take their chances. Some of it also was down to Mamardashvili keeping us in it, who was absolutely excellent on the day. Other than that, we were lucky that we didn't get absolutely humiliated more so than what the scoreline suggests. But for people that actually watched the game, it was humiliation. Absolutely, totally, and utterly humiliating to watch. I don't understand why Slot has have not been sacked yet. Even Stevie at this point may seem brighter. Big up, bro. Hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you here with us. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing okay on this Monday morning. You're right, though. An interim manager till the end of the season might steady the ship a little bit, especially someone like Gerrard who knows the club, understands the club, and again, people respect. People have a lot of time and respect for, and that might inspire some fight in the team at least till the end of the season. But again, why bother going for the interim manager when there is a perfectly good manager out there that is free, available, not tied down to a club right now? Why are we waiting around for this when there is a possibility that anything can happen in football? And if we lose out on Alonso, I'll be fuming. Or if we don't get a manager that is equal or better than him, I'll be fuming. Because the opportunity was there right from the get-go. Like, if Alonso doesn't want to join a club until the summer, fine, fair enough. Then you go down the interim route. Because you have one chance to roll the dice, take a bit of a gamble, but potentially save the season in a manager that might get us across the finish line, that can inspire the team, that can change the way we're playing. I don't know if anybody listens to Gerrard and his punditry. He's one of the better ones out there. Like, Gerrard's punditry is actually really, really good. He doesn't do it often, I don't think, which I think might help, because I feel like sometimes if you do it often enough, maybe you do get a bit boring, repetitive, or like people just think like you're talking absolute waffle or whatever. A bit like Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. But Gerrard is not like them, for example. Gerrard, you don't obviously he does his punditry on a lot of Liverpool games, right? But listen to him talk, you wouldn't anticipate or wouldn't have known he actually played for Liverpool or he was a Liverpool captain, because he speaks kind of mostly impartial. I'm sure there's like a little bit of bias in there at times. I'm sure there is. But he's not like it's Carragher, for example, levels of bias in one moment, and then to try and be fair and equal, it will go completely the opposite direction, even if he doesn't believe it. Or he doesn't go like Gary Neville, where it's like, again, the bias is clearly there. But every now and again, just to kind of balance things out, he might go a little bit hard the other way. It's he's actually really good. He's actually really good at analysing it. I think that the Aston Villa thing will always be a blemish on his CV. I don't even necessarily think it was all down to him. I'm sure that he's not blameless in that situation. But I think it might have just been too big of a job too early. I think he should have built himself up a little bit. I think he probably should have gone to someone a little bit lower in the Premier League, or maybe someone in the Championship that's really high up on the verge of promotion, and built his way up that way. I think jumping ship from Rangers to Aston Villa was too big of a gap. But the way that he speaks, the way that he analyzes the game, it's really, really good from him, I think. So, like I say, I don't disagree. We should have probably gone down the interim route of Gerrard. It probably would have steadied the ship and got things looking a little bit better for us. Kepa had lost 4 finals at Wembley before that one. Still, Arteta has trust in him. Wow, 4 finals for Kepa lost at Wembley. I had no idea. I genuinely had no idea. That is bizarre. Wow. Like I say, Arteta made a mistake. Arteta shouldn't have played with fire. Arteta should have secured the trophy. Instead, he took a gamble. He took a risk in the secondary goalkeeper, and it backfired massively. Big up Geordie Dread TV. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Unfortunate. I assume you're a Newcastle fan. Geordie Dread. Unfortunate result for you guys yesterday. Hi, Captain Flash and Chat. Big up Abdul, who's in the building. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Smash the likes and subscribe. Yes, people, do as my bro Abdul says. Smash the like on the video if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and probably be greatly appreciated. Watching Liverpool is like torture. Boring, slow, side to side, passing backwards, passing side to side. No fight, no toughness, and no physicality. Yep. Summed it up perfectly there, bro. Absolutely summed it up perfectly. Football has been saved for 2 more months. Big up Alf, who's in the building. Brilliant result for your boys yesterday. Brilliant second half performance by City. And yes, I think on behalf of a lot of football fans, right the way across the board, it's ironic that we're saying that City saved football yesterday. It's completely ironic that we're saying that, but yes, you are somewhat right, my bro. You kind of did a little bit. Although in hindsight, we'll see later on in the season, obviously, what transpires, because you know, if City had, if Arsenal had to win one thing this season, I probably would have gone with the League Cup. If it meant that they weren't going to win anything else, I probably said yes, keep them with a League Cup. Fine. It's the least amount of damage, but we'll see. We'll see come the end of the season what the damage is as far as what Arsenal are concerned. Premier League, 10 losses and 7 draws, potentially more losses and draws come the end of the season. Knocked out to Palace in the League Cup. Champions League losses include to PSV and Galatasaray twice. We are playing PSG in the Champions League and Man City in the FA Cup quarter-final. We are going to get beat. Yeah, we were on about it slightly earlier, bro. We were saying that our season 2 weeks after the international break could very well be well and truly over. Like you say, PSG in the Champions League, Man City in the FA Cup, 2 games, well, 3 games if you obviously state it as 2 legs in the PSG one, that don't exactly go in our favour. And then we've got Fulham in the Premier League sandwiched between them all. Yeah, our season could be over, bro. Our season could very well and truly be over. And at that point, it's not really on Slot. I'm going to say that right now. At that point, it's not really on Slot. Of course, he has to take blame and responsibility, as you know, we've tried to point the finger of blame on him all season. But it's not really on Slot at that point. At that point, it's on the ownership. It's on the people that make the decisions behind the scenes and the big decisions at that, because they allowed this to go on for this long. And even though majority of Liverpool fans have been calling out this all season and saying, like, look, this has the potential of going south ASAP, you need to do something about it, they sat on their hands like they normally do when it comes to making big decisions. And they decided, we'll wait it out. We'll wait it out. We'll wait it out. We'll wait it out. That's what they do when they make big decisions. Look at the fact that Mark Gahey is now playing for Manchester City rather than Liverpool. Look at the fact that Antoine Semenyo is currently playing for Manchester City rather than Liverpool. A number of players over the years that Liverpool have been after are playing for their respective clubs right now rather than Liverpool. It's the same old story over and over and over and over again. And Liverpool have once again, in this situation, sat on their hands, hoping that things will play out all right. Rather than act and do something about it, we've decided, nope, that's not going to happen. We're going to sit on our hands and we're going to hope and pray that this all works out for the best. And it never does, surprisingly. Surprisingly, when we don't act, things don't work out for us. Who'd have thought it? Look at what City have done. City have gone out there and they've bought Semenyo and they've bought Gahey. And they're probably going to be better off for it in the future. They're probably going to be better off for it in the future. Semenyo played yesterday. They're Carabao Cup champions already. That's what a team that is ruthless does. A team that is ruthless does not sit on their hands. A team that is ruthless and serious acts before the problem and the situations develop into serious ones. We don't do that. We never learn. We never learn. We could not have any sort of European football with Brentford and Everton right behind us. Like I say, bro, it's terrifying. It's terrifying because, you know, we've slipped up these past few weeks. Now, we are so fortunate that Chelsea have also slipped up these past few weeks. It's also crazy to think that we've lost to Wolves, we've drew to Spurs, and we've lost to Brighton. And Chelsea are still behind us. That's kind of funny to me. But Everton have closed the gap. Brentford, if they hadn't slipped up against Leeds and they hadn't have bottled a 2-goal lead against Wolves, they would have been very well and truly ahead of us by now. Simultaneously, if we'd have actually won our last 3 games, we would have picked up 8 more points. We would have picked up 8 more points in our last 3 games had we won all of those games. And we'd be sat right now in 3rd place. 3rd place, and things will be looking at least a little bit better than what they are. But the reality of the situation is we've got a manager who doesn't know what he's doing. We've got a manager who's out of his depth. We've got a manager who would rather be on the beaches of Ibiza than managing this Liverpool side. It's awful. It's god awful what is going on right now. Losses to Palace 3 times, Man City twice, Galatasaray twice, PSV, Chelsea, Man United, Bournemouth, Brentford, Forest, Wolves, Brighton. Drawn to Leeds twice, Arsenal, Fulham, Sunderland, Burnley, Spurs. More losses and draws possibly on the way. Yep, you're right, bro. Again, we've gone through that. We've gone through that stuff on previous streams. You're 100% correct. What FSG and the board not acting on a slot? What's shockingly bad at set pieces? Can't break teams down. Long ball crosses. No fight. No toughness. No aggression. No duels. No 50-50. No tackles. Unacceptable. Yeah, I mean the only thing that I think's improved this season is the fact that we're better from set pieces. That's the only thing I would say that we're better at this season than in previous years. We're better at set pieces. Wow. We've spent 450 million in the summer of 2025 just to get slightly better at attacking set pieces. Still can't defend them. Can't defend against the high press. Can't defend against the low block. Can't defend against any sort of physicality or intensity or tenacity. Can't defend in general. Got no organisation in the midfield. No leadership in that team. Our attack is as blunt as a spoon. We make the wrong decisions time and time again. But hey, at least we actually look decent from set pieces. Except for Saturday. Saturday, we did not look good from set pieces. Liverpool players look tired and fatigued. We have a small squad and no depth. I mean, I don't want to play the injury card, but we have had a number of injuries this year. I think that needs to be looked into. I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm just saying that needs to be looked into. Frimpong's been in and out of the team. I know that Isak was a freak accident, along with Leone's was a freak accident as well. So that those two were bad, but yeah, even like, you know, I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's the same stuff over and over again, and like you say, we look tired and fatigued, and after 50 odd minutes, we were done. We were done for 50, 60 odd minutes into the game. We were done. That's when we dropped back. We dropped deep, and Brighton just took over. Brighton suffocated us, and that's when our only outlet really did become Florian Wirtz, who had no one to play off, no one up with him apart from Cody frigging Gakpo, who made the wrong run every single time. Didn't stretch the defense, didn't help Wirtz in any way, shape, or form. It was a terrible setup. Really, really was. Yeah, but it feels like Arsenal fans are all is all over now with thinking they would have had a guarantee win if they did not play Kepa but Raya. I can't stand their attitudes anymore. Not to take all down. Yeah, I mean, they had every right to be confident. Don't get me wrong; they had every right to be confident, especially with the form that City were going into that final with. But yeah, I mean, look, Kepa will take the blame for the mistakes. Kepa will take the blame for the obvious, clear mistakes, right? But it's not like anybody else played well for Arsenal. Like I say, Kai Havertz was terrible. Saka was terrible. Trossard was abysmal. Um, Zubimendi was poor. Rice had no effect on the game whatsoever. Gyökeres was, again, similarly to Wirtz, Gyökeres was hung out to dry. I didn't think Gyökeres had that bad of a game. He just had no one to link up with. There was a couple of nice touches in there from him, a couple of nice little bits of play and, some strong bits of play. But he had nothing. He had very little to play off of. And a player like Gyökeres needs support. And he had very little of that. We weren't that brilliant. Arsenal were just poor. City was not pressing at all. Just packed the midfield and said, what you're going to do. And they did nothing. If other teams do that after this final, I would say your second half was good. I would say you came with a stronger game plan in the second half that worked. And this goes back to my kind of argument about Arsenal. I don't wish to take anything away from Arsenal and what they've done this season. And if they are to go on and win the league, then fine, fair enough. I don't wish to take anything away from Arsenal. It's just that the way that they play, it doesn't do anything for me. I wouldn't be particularly happy watching that week in, week out. I'm not happy watching my club week in, week out, and we're terrible. But Arsenal obviously is better than us, but the way that they play, it's not exactly the most entertaining or eye-catching. Put it this way, Arsenal were a lot more entertaining and eye-catching 2 or 3 years ago than what they are right now. I like the way that Arsenal played 2 or 3 years ago. I thought they were electric. I thought they were very, very good on the ball. I thought they were stupidly good. They were stupidly, stupidly good. And they had no right to be, but they were stupidly, stupidly good. And then over the years, because they bottled an 8-point lead at the top of the table, Arteta's grown scared. Got a bit of PTSD about losing that title to the point where he's gone for more efficiency rather than eye-catching football. And if it works, I can't necessarily blame him for it. But it's just not my preferred way of playing. What we have seen this year in the games that Arsenal have struggled in are teams that play that particular way. Look at Liverpool. Both games against Liverpool. Pack out the midfield. Stop Arsenal from playing through the likes of Rice, Zubimendi, and trying to get the ball to the likes of Eze or Saka or whoever. Stop that, and you stop the creativity. Then all you have to do is just hope that their set pieces are having a bit of an off day. Because otherwise, they have more than one way of beating you. I thought City's game plan, like I say, in the second half was very good. Was it your most vintage performance? No. You were terrible in the first half. You were improved in the second. But it was efficient enough to get the job done. And like you say, it neutralised Arsenal because Arsenal didn't have anything. They barely had any clear-cut opportunities whatsoever. I think maybe one in each half, maybe. And that's it. They had nothing. So I thought like, setup-wise, City were very, very good. I thought City were very, very good. Were you helped by Arsenal not being at their best? Yeah, of course. But again, maybe they weren't at their best because you made them look average. Maybe that was the case. Honest's tactics aren't working, or we are rubbish. Something needs to change. Bro, we've been saying it all season. If it ain't going to change now, or if it ain't going to change back then, it ain't going to change now. So the only thing that can change is getting rid of the manager. That's it. Arsenal could be getting cooked. Teams like Bournemouth and Newcastle are happy with a draw against Arsenal. And Arsenal just showed if you don't press, Arsenal stand still on the ball. Arsenal stand still on the ball. I don't know. I don't know. Because again, if that's the case, they should have studied the Liverpool game. Because both Liverpool games, especially, were key highlights of how you play against Arsenal. The Liverpool games, the Aston Villa game where they lost to Villa, that was also another game in which you could see where Arsenal struggled. Dropping points to the likes of Wolves and Brentford, Arsenal struggled. There's elements in all of those games that should have been studied upon by future teams that play Arsenal. There are ways to beat them because they're not vintage. They're not perfect. But that just shows you the standard that has fallen in the leagues this season, especially. Like, it's easier to coach these teams than what it would have been several years ago with Pep and Klopp at the helm. That's why the competitiveness of the Premier League is at an all-time high, and why I believe the standard of football, the quality of football, to be at a very low, I guess. We need a double experienced centre back, CDM, left wing, and right wing. Oh, 2 experienced centre backs, got you. We need 2 experienced centre backs, CDM, left wing, and right wing. Again, Gahey was right there for the taking, and we missed out. A CDM is desperately needed because Ryan Gravenberch just can't fill that role anymore. A left winger, Cody Gakpo is useless. Play more Rio Engamoa, but obviously we would need someone going forward that can compete, or at least, rotate. And a right winger for Salah, yeah, because we don't have a right winger. If Salah's not in the team, we don't have a right winger. And I don't ever want to see Jerry Frimpong at right wing again. Don't want to see that. That's between you two, so I'll leave that with you. We need a CDM to control the midfield, keep it simple, portraying with headers, organisation, communication, excellent passing forward with tackles with 50-50 duels, protect back four and sit in midfield. Gravenberch did that last season. And this year he's dropped off. Him and McAllister were excellent last season. Excellent in doing that. We don't do that anymore. We don't do that no more. Shocking. We don't protect. We don't battle. We lose all of our duels. We're not tenacious or intense enough. It's just the way of the Liverpool right now. Morning, Thomas Lloyd. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you here with us. Hope you're doing well. Every match is different, of course, and so many times it doesn't go according to plan. Makes the sport interesting. Yeah, like I say, the competitiveness of the Premier League is at an all-time high. The competitiveness is at an all-time high, which is why we are getting some crazy results. It's why Wolves were able to draw against the likes of Man United and Liverpool and beat Aston Villa and draw to Arsenal. You know, those are the kind of results that are crazy. Like Burnley drew to Liverpool and West Ham lost to Liverpool, but they managed to draw against Man City. And Forest drew to Man City, but they beat Liverpool. They beat Tottenham. They've also lost, beaten Liverpool, lost to Liverpool. You know, the topsy-turvy, crazy results show the competitive nature of the Premier League, which I don't really remember this being for a long, long time, especially when you consider that Liverpool and Man City especially in the Klopp and Pep era, set the standards for just destroying teams left, right, and centre by picking up 92, 94, 96, 97, 98 points a season. Even in Centurions, 100 points. So the competitive side is the highest it's been in many a year. The problem is it's not exactly pleasing on the eye. It's not exactly entertaining, I don't think. And to be fair, if it works and you are winning, like an Arsenal, for example, you don't need it to be entertaining. If you can find a way to be entertaining and winning, great. But if you have to take one or the other, of course, a lot of people would take winning. Because even though there are some people out there that go, oh, yeah, well, I'd rather my team to be entertaining than winning. There are actually some people out there that would prefer that. They're like, oh, I'm bored of watching us. Even though we won, I'm bored of watching us. They're the same people that after about 3 results of losing in back-to-back games, but playing well, would turn around and go, I'd rather us win. I would want us to win a game every now and again. That would be nice. Can't win with those people. Liverpool don't have any standards. Right now, we don't. We do historically, we do. We don't right now. If we did, we would have sacked Slot a long time ago. After Man United, and most definitely after Forest and PSG. Oh, sorry, PSV, sorry. But here we are. We're nearing the end of March. We are into the international break, and Slot is still in charge. And our season is on a ticking time bomb. Our season is timing out. And I'm not just talking about the end of the season. I'm talking about in about 4 weeks' time, our season being over and done with. I'm talking about PSG knocking us out the Champions League. I'm talking about City knocking us out the FA Cup. And I'm talking about the likes of potentially Fulham and Everton maybe putting a final nail in our coffin of top 4, top 5 for the season. We are currently 5 points adrift of 4th place. 5 points adrift of 4th place, Aston Villa. We are 1 point ahead of Chelsea. We are 3 points clear of Brentford, 3 points clear of Everton, and 5 points clear of Fulham. Brighton have hit a bit of good form. They're 6 points behind us. We've still got to play Everton. We've still got to play Fulham. We've got to play Chelsea. We've got to play Man United. We've got to play Aston Villa. United, Villa, Chelsea, Everton. We've got Brentford on the final day of the season as well. And Fulham. That makes up just 6 of our remaining 7 games. We've also got Palace as the 7th game in there as well. That's not in order, but those are the 7 games. 6 of our next 7 games are against teams that are in the top 10. Six of our last 7 games against teams that are in the top 10. And not only are they in the top 10, but they are the ones that are fighting us for European football for next season. Who exactly is confident going into that run of form? We struggled to come out the likes of Forest, West Ham, Wolves, all with flying colours. We struggled with that. Now we've got to face teams that are in and around us. How is anybody confident going into this run of fixtures? How? Honestly, is anybody out there confident that we're gonna get top 4, top 5? Right now, with the way that we're playing, we don't deserve it. Of course we don't. But there's a big possibility that we won't even get Europa League. We won't even probably get Europa Conference League. I'm terrified of that run of fixtures. The only game I'm confident with, and even then it's not really much confidence, is probably Chelsea. That's probably the only game I would probably say like I'm confident with. I'm not confident of any of the other games. Am I confident of going to Old Trafford? No. Aston Villa could possibly be a win, considering maybe where Villa are at the second to last game of the season, and if they are in the Europa League final or not. That could be a possibility. I'll grant you that. Brentford, if they're playing for European football, are going to have the bit between their teeth. Palace will have nothing to play for, but I can guarantee you they'll turn up against us because Ismail Assar will probably score a hat-trick against us like he normally does. Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, the first Merseyside derby at a senior level at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, with the possibility that Everton could overtake us by that point, or potentially already have overtaken us. I don't know. Fulham's always a tricky game for us, whether it be home or away. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not feeling this. I'm really not feeling it. I think we're going to have to get used to not being in Champions League for next season, unless by some miracle we win the Champions League, which is obviously not going to happen. And then we're going to have to contend with the excuses of why our summer transfer plans have gone skewed. Because this is all a knock-on effect. This is all a knock-on effect. This is all a knock-on effect. This is the board being incompetent and not realizing the danger sooner. So they keep Slot in the job. Slot continuing to fail. And therefore, we don't get top 4, top 5. We don't get Champions League football for next season. And then them going into the summer and going, yeah, we would love a summer like last year. But the only problem is we don't have Champions League football to show for our efforts. So it's going to have to be a mediocre summer again. And we're going to have to make do with mostly what we've got. Can't wait for that kind of spiel to come out. Can't wait for James Pearce and friggin' is it Ian Doyle? I think it's Ian Doyle and whoever else to come out with the kind of excuses and and whatever else is going to come out of their mouths and out of their minds and onto paper that basically states, oh, it's not Slot's fault, it's the players' fault, it's the club's fault. Well, not, they wouldn't never blame the club, especially James Pearce. It's the players' fault. It's the fans' fault. The fans, if the fans have got behind the team, Liverpool might have actually got Champions League football this season. All of that crap. Can't wait for all of that. Coupled with, and that 500 million war chest that Liverpool have. That's gone now. Gone. That's not going to be seen. Not going to be seen. We'll only have 200 million to spend this year, and only that is because we'll probably sell Salah to Saudi. It's not looking good, guys. It's really not looking good. Arne Slot doesn't learn from these losses and draws. Once again, bro, we've been saying the same thing all season long, haven't we? We've been saying the same thing all season long. I bet you was looking forward to this stream today, Flash. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I love these streams where I just get to rant and rave. It's great. I want to be sat here waxing lyrical about our players, about how good we are, about how great we are, and about the possibility of success in the future. Instead, I'm sat here moaning about the same stuff over and over and over again. I'm sat here complaining about how our club just sits on its hands constantly rather than acts. Love it. I love having a board that is incompetent sometimes. It's great. Arne Slot wants to be sacked, giving excuses in press conferences. Like we said, bro, it's damage control. The guy is damage controlling his stock in the game. Like, let's say hypothetically, just plucking a random team out of the air, that Real Madrid were looking at him, right? And he knows that. I'm not saying it's true, by the way. I'm just saying hypothetically. The guy is trying to protect himself. The guy is constantly going, it's not me. I know I'm the head coach and I'm meant to find the answers to these problems, but it's not my fault that Liverpool are faltering. It's not my fault that Liverpool have fallen off so badly this season. It's not my fault. God forbid it would be my fault. It's the players. The players just aren't doing the right things right now. He's been making excuses for the longest time. He's thrown players under the bus. He constantly mentions PSG every opportunity. So, it's a great thing that we've got PSG again. So either he can get revenge on them, which is unlikely, or he can suffer with more PSG nightmares in the sequel. Throwing players under the bus, making excuses, moaning constantly. It's terrible. Like I say, this is a different Arne Slot to what won us the Premier League last year. I'm convinced he went to Ibiza last year and he got replaced with a synthetic being that has no idea what football is. because this can't be the same guy that last season was either getting things spot on in the league, or he wouldn't quite get it spot on, but he would adapt later on in the game to make Liverpool better and to win Liverpool games. This can't be the same Arnie Slot, surely. But again, the common thread in this whole video, I've said it all season long, in match reaction videos, in live streams like this, we've said the same things over and over and over and over and over again. It's boring. So boring. So repetitive. So terrible. But it's just happening again and again and again. Spending money is in one transfer window. Now FSG penny pinching again. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not expecting a massive, monumental transfer window. Especially if we don't get Champions League football, it's going to be even worse. Big up the Blue Baron. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Lovely to have you here with us. It says Liverpool won the title. Yes, we did. Last season. Give bad season and you want him out. Yeah. I mean, look. If we were title challenging and coming second, if we were second, or even if it was like a close 3-horse race and we finished third, and we missed out on the title by like a point or a couple of points or maybe like goal difference, we probably wouldn't be saying Slot out, because we would be like, okay, cool. We're at least title contending. We're not title contending. We've dropped off so bad this season. We've spent 450 odd million on brand new players that a lot of teams would have given their right arm for in one window, let alone across a series of windows. And we've gotten worse. There's been no signs of improvement. There has been nothing to suggest that we're going to get any better. We're making the same mistakes over and over again. We're playing the most boring, blandest, most pedestrian side-to-side football you've ever seen. And like I said, things aren't improving. If we could see improvement, if we could see that we were sort of playing better, if we could see a way that we were obviously going from strength to strength, then maybe we'd be sat here and giving the manager a bit more leeway. Maybe we'd be sat here going more on the players. Maybe we'd be sat here going, you know what? We just need that little bit of luck that maybe goes with it. Or maybe we're just lacking a little bit of quality in a certain area. But the fact of the matter is that this is a terrible season that shouldn't have happened this way. But it has happened this way. And there's no signs of it improving. There's no signs of it improving. There's no signs that we are getting any better. There's no signs that we're competing. It's going to be the same old. We got to a League Cup final last year. We threw away the League Cup this year. We got, obviously, we got further this year in the FA Cup than we did last year. But let's be honest, quarterfinals is seemingly going to be our limit. And in the Champions League, okay, we made it out the round of 16 stage this year, but we had a much easier task this year than what we did last year. And even then, we still almost fumbled it, because if Galatasaray hadn't have been, well, their fans hadn't have been such idiots in getting them all banned from the stadium at Anfield, it could have been a very different atmosphere. And it could have played into Galatasaray's hands a little bit more. Could. I know that obviously Galatasaray are terrible away from home. But even so, a lot of teams are terrible away from home. And they still come to our ground. And they still humiliate us. It is what it is. Slot management, non-existent. Seems that way. Big up Joey's in the building. Hope you're doing well, my friend. It says, are you Scouse? I'm not, my friend. I'm not. Ranieri got sacked when he won the league. Look where Leicester are now in 22nd in the Championship. Very true. Liverpool are going backwards. Absolutely. Why are you so ungrateful? You won the league. Yeah, but there's being ungrateful, and then there's spending 450 million in the transfer window and going completely backwards. Like, are you seriously saying that Liverpool aren't the most embarrassing team or the most underperforming team this year? Because if we're not, then why do people take the mick out of us? Why are people laughing at us right now? Why are people enjoying the downfall of Liverpool? Because we were meant to go on and win the league this year. We spent the money to go and do so. We were meant to go and not necessarily clean sweep the entire board of trophies, but we were meant to go and compete, and we're not competing. We've fallen off in the league to a point where we're currently 5th, but it could be a hell of a lot worse in about a month or two's time. We threw away the League Cup. We're possibly going to be going out the FA Cup at the quarterfinal stages. And in the Champions League, we're going to go out again to PSG. That's not competing. That is not competing. And it's not about being ungrateful. Regardless of what happens this season, Premier League wise, at least, we're the most embarrassing team. We're the most underperforming team. That's just the fact of the matter, regardless of what happened last year. I'm thankful that he won us a Premier League title. I really, really am. I'm glad that he made that memory for me. I'm glad that we got to celebrate it, because obviously we couldn't really celebrate it during COVID. It produced incredible scenes. I'm happy for that. But the fact of the matter is that you go into a new season full of hope and optimism, and you just see a team that has spent 450 odd million in the summer go backwards. No signs of improvement. Boring to watch. It feels like more of a chore to watch Liverpool these days than what it does a privilege or a getaway or a reward or whatever the case may be. It's not about being ungrateful. It's about having the expectations that are matched. Again, if we didn't win the Premier League this season, but we were at least competing, if we finished 2nd or 3rd, a close point or 2 or a goal difference behind Arsenal, at least we could go, you know what, we were just a little bit unlucky this year, but next year we'll go again and we'll get the job done next time. Fine, fair enough. We'll keep Slot in the game. But it's not panned out that way. It's not panned out that way. Slot won it in his first season, unlike Klopp. Yes, but did you also see do you also compare the sides that Klopp walked into in comparison to what Slot walked into? Slot walked into a club that had the likes of an incredible Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson Becker, Alexis McAllister, just to name a few. Klopp walked into a team that had Christian Benteke, that had Dejan Lovren, that had Simon Mignolet in goal. Like, come on, bro. I don't know if you've been in the chat before, but I kind of feel like you're better than that. Kind of feel like you're better than that. Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham, the other teams which are jokes other than Liverpool. No, we're still the worst team this season. We had higher expectations than them. We spent a lot more money than them. We are still the biggest joke this season. There's nothing will change that. Unless, of course, we win the Champions League, which is, again, extremely unlikely. Nothing will change the fact that this season has been a complete joke for Liverpool and has been absolutely poor. Nothing's going to change that. Liverpool are not Man City, who won the title for 4 seasons in a row. Okay. But why can't we go and do that? Why can't we go and do that? I don't get your point there, bro. I don't get your point. Big Eric is in the building. It says, why are all Liverpool people on YouTube not from Liverpool? Some are, some aren't. Again, all fan bases are like that. Most fan bases are like that, should I say. Most fan bases are from people of all over the world. Otherwise, if you had to stick it to just basically being located in that region, why aren't all Liverpool players from Liverpool? Why aren't all Manchester United players from Manchester? Why aren't all Arsenal players from London? Like, don't make no sense. Don't get people that go like, oh, you should support your local team. I was 3 years old and I didn't know what football was or where even Liverpool was on a map at 3 years old. And I instantly fell in love with football, Liverpool, and Michael Owen. Michael Owen was my hero growing up. And then obviously he went to Real Madrid, broke my heart, and then I was like, I'm sticking with Liverpool anyway. Like, I'm not going to like follow Michael Owen. That's stupid. Even at that young age, even at the age of, when did he move? 2004? So I would have been 7? No, 6. 8. I would have been 8. Even at 8 years old, I was like, I still know to support the team rather than just a player. I know it's a team game rather than a single individual player sport. I'm still going to support Liverpool. And that's when my idol moved to Steven Gerrard. So, yeah, my idol was Gerrard growing up. And it was an individual sport. I was 3 years old when I started supporting Liverpool. I didn't know where they were. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know anything about their history. I didn't know anything about them when I was 3 years old. I just watched them one day and fell in love with football and fell in love with the sport and fell in love with, like, say, Liverpool Football Club. Simple as that. Support your local team, not the big teams. It's a free country, bro. You can support whoever you want. Support whoever you want. Like, I'm from Nottingham, but, you know, I have a soft spot for Notts County. Forest, not so much these days. I have friends and family who support them, and it's always nice when they're doing well. But at the same time, like, no, Liverpool's my team, bro. Liverpool's my team. Which part of it is true? I'd like to know. Where are the players from? Exactly. You are born where you are born and can support Liverpool. Yeah, exactly, bro. Like I say, I watched Michael Owen. I idolized Michael Owen when he was at Liverpool, and that's what made me fall in love with Liverpool to begin with. And then of course he left, and that was like my first like, what the hell are you doing? Why is this happening? But then I stuck with them. I stuck with the club. I stuck with the club rather than just go, because I could have easily gone, yeah, I want to be a Real Madrid fan now. That would have been proper glory hunting without actually knowing it's glory hunting. I just followed Michael Owen that way. But no, I stuck with Liverpool, and I was like, right, my favourite player right now is Gerrard. Gerrard is going to be my main guy. Look what happened. Foreign players, foreign coaches, foreign owners and executives, but foreign fans is a... Yes, Al, this is it. This is it. And especially because your club especially are going to get this now. You know, with the insane amount of growth that your club has obviously captured over these past 15, 20 years or so, with the takeover, with gaining success on a domestic and continental level, the growth that you've done on and off the pitch, you're going to get a lot more fans that are going to be growing up as City fans. Because I imagine a lot of City fans were probably growing up as City fans inside of Manchester. I doubt there were too many that were growing up outside of Manchester as City fans, especially when there's another Manchester club not too much of a distance away from you that obviously were taking the main headlines. But since City's takeover, especially City's takeover, and especially since you've started to win more trophies and things like that, you're going to get more City fans popping up across the globe, whether it be in Africa, whether it be in North America, whether it be in South America, wherever the case may be. You're going to get a lot more City fans that are going to be going through this. And you're probably going to get the same people that are going to be like, are you from Manchester? Are you from Manchester? Or if you're not from Manchester, you can't support a Manchester club. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You are 100% spot on and correct, my bro. Strange people that, for whatever reason, instantly think like things like that are exclusive. You have to be born in the city to support to support a certain club. Like I say, I have a soft spot for I have a soft spot for Notts County, 100%. I hope that one day Notts County can elevate themselves in the league to a point where there is a potential that maybe one day we do see them back in the Premier League, back in top flight division, shall I say. I'd love it if County got back there. But I doubt it will happen in my lifetime unless something big changes. Forest, when Forest got promoted, I was happy to see Forest back in the Premier League, where they belong. Sort of. Their ownership these past couple of years has made me think otherwise. I think Marinakis is a right prat. But yeah, that's just me. Someone who was 6 in 2012 is now 20. There's a lot of young City fans coming through in the next few years. This is it. You gain a bit of success. You gain a bit more notoriety. You get a bit more of the spotlight taken on you. And especially because, like I say, Man United have fallen off as well. Your boys have become very successful over the years. You've grown your club extremely well. Whether it's all ethical or not, we'll wait and see. I just had to throw that in there. Sorry, dude. Whether or not, you've grown the club on and off the pitch in terms of success, in terms of financial gain and like I said, coverage across the globe, as well as on a continental level, winning the Champions League, and on a domestic level, winning so many domestic trophies, FA Cups, League Cups, Premier Leagues, even Centurion seasons and treble winning seasons. You've done it all these past 15 or so years. That's what growth is all about. And teams can do it. But yeah. But yeah, you can do it. And like you say, there are a lot more younger fans coming through of these kinds of teams now. There are. And it's great to see, because it's what football is all about. Football is inclusive to everybody, and football is include. It doesn't matter where you're born or where you're from or anything along those lines. Like, football is universal in that sense. So it's inclusive to everybody. Bit strange that you had to justify yourself on who you support. You can support who you want. Very strange. Yeah, I know, but there are some people out there that want an explanation, and I'm happy to. basically, I'm happy if they politely ask the question. I know they kind of seemingly didn't in that. Neither Eric or Lion 2, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Neither of them seem to really suggest that that they were asking a question in a kind of polite way. But even so, like I'll be straight up and honest. Like, okay, I have no real ties to Liverpool. I have no real, you know, bloodline that runs in Liverpool or anything along those lines. Like, I don't think I'm from Liverpool at all. But the reason I support Liverpool is simply because I grew up watching Michael Owen and I loved Michael Owen and I loved, therefore, Liverpool. And even at the age of 8, I still had the knowledge to be like, okay, this is a game in which it is basically about the team rather than an individual player. If I wanted to support an individual player, I would choose another sport. I would choose tennis. I would choose darts. I would choose a single player sport. This is a team sport in which you pick your team and you stick with it for life. You can have soft spots for other teams. I've had soft spots for other teams in the past. I like Dortmund for many years. You know, like I say, I have soft spot for Notts County and Nottingham Forest because I grew up. I live and I grew up in Nottingham. I have soft spots for other teams. You allowed them. I just won't ever wear a English shirt. I won't ever wear a football shirt of a team that's in the same country as me, unless it's for like charity or I lose a bet or something. That's the only time you'll ever see me wear an English football shirt. I just find it wrong. I would gladly wear shirts, and I have done on streams and videos of other teams. I've got like a PSV shirt. I've got a Dortmund shirt, an AC Milan shirt. I'll gladly wear shirts of other teams from across other nations because, you know, collecting football shirts is what I like to do. And there are some absolutely incredible football shirts out there. But no, that's the one thing I'll draw the line on. Don't ever wear a shirt of another English club unless it's for charity or unless it's for a bet. Those are the only 2 times it is acceptable. Even if Spurs won't get relegated and it will be West Ham, that is still a massive club to relegate. When is the last time West Ham went down? Arguably, West Ham is a bigger club than Spurs. Big up, Marco. Glad that you're here, my dude. Happy that you're here with us. Hope you're doing well. West Ham, was it 10 years ago? 10 years ago, West Ham went down? Maybe just over 10 years? I feel like it was just over 10 years ago. I want to say like 2013, 2014. Oh, I don't remember now. I don't remember. When did they go down? Let's have a look. When did... 2011. Okay, so I was a little bit off. 2011 is when West Ham went down to the Championship. It was a big deal then because, yeah, West Ham were a big club to go down. I would say that Tottenham would be slightly bigger. And that's only because of the amount of money that they have, the stadium that they have. I would say that they are the bigger team to go down. I'd say Spurs are the bigger team to go down. Do I think that they could go down? I don't know. I'm going to leave that a bit open-ended because I want to save something I want to save some content for the international break. So yeah, look out for that across the international break. I'm going to be looking to the relegation battle. I think Forest may have just survived. I think that win yesterday for Forest may have just kept may just keep their heads above water. But then again, in about 2-3 weeks' time, they could be right back in it again. Who knows? But I think that Forest win, will be just enough to keep them out of the relegation zone. Spurs are in danger by a point. West Ham, obviously. I think Wolves, as much as I would love a great escape, I think they're done for. Burnley are done for. It's just between West Ham and Spurs. I think maybe Forest are still in danger, but I think that win yesterday was massive for them. Tuchel picking Spence over Trent is mental. Tuchel will make sure England won't come anywhere near the World Cup trophy. Look, it's an experimental squad, and I haven't been following La Liga as closely this year as what I normally do. But from all intents and purposes, it seems like Trent's defending is still very questionable. Seems like Real Madrid fans are not entirely happy with a certain Trent Alexander-Arnold. So we shall see. Leeds are still in serious relegation danger. They could be dropped into it. I think Leeds will be fine. I think Leeds will be fine. Yeah, I mean, look, mathematically, it's still possible until it isn't. But I think Leeds will be fine. Unless Leeds have got a horrible run in, I think they'll be fine. Man United away, that'll be tough, but again, not at the realms of possibility for the Leeds to get something in that game. Then they have Wolves at home. They'll probably get a win there because their home form is pretty decent. Bournemouth away, at the very least, a point. Burnley at home, Leeds will be fine against Burnley. Massive game against Spurs, away from home. Could go either way, depending on obviously what Spurs team turns up. But again, you wouldn't back against Leeds not to get something from that game. Against Brighton have been a bit hit and miss this season. It's the kind of game that Brighton do tend to slip up with. Again, you wouldn't put it against them not to get something from that game. And then against West Ham on the final day of the season, that could be a massive game depending on where West Ham are. I think Leeds are fine. I think Leeds are safe. Not completely. And like you say, a win or two here and there for the teams that are below them, and they could get dragged back into it. But I think with the games that they've got coming up, I think Leeds will be fine. We shall see anyway. Like I say, a lot coming up. A lot we're going to be looking into in this international break. We're going to be looking more in depth at top 4, top 5 race. We're going to be looking into the Premier League title race as well between Arsenal and Manchester City. Looking ahead to the battle at the bottom of the table in the relegation fights, and probably any other content that we can look at. Maybe doing a bit of a team of the season kind of thing so far. I don't know. Because international break, especially this one, very boring, very pointless. Couldn't care less about it. I'm just glad. The only thing I'm glad about is the fact that I don't have to watch Liverpool for another couple of weeks. But I probably would have to hear a lot of PR BS from Liverpool's social media accounts, bigging up Arne Slot, bigging up the club, telling us to get behind the club going forward, telling us to get behind the team as we enter a very tough run in and all of that stuff. Yeah, all of that stuff is probably to come these next couple of weeks. But That just is what it is. Leeds just 4 points above the safety zone. Yeah, but they've got a favourable run coming up. That I think will be fine. Plus, I can't see the teams that are below them getting many points either. So I think they'll be fine, Leeds, in all honesty. Some fun World Cup playoffs scheduled this week. Yeah, I mean, that's the upside to it. There will be some interesting World Cup playoffs. Couldn't care less about England, obviously. There'll be one or two games that I might keep my eye on, but for the most part, I couldn't care less about the international break. Couldn't care less. Italy could miss their third World Cup in a row, or is it the fourth last time they played? They won. No, they were in the 2010 one at least. They were in the 2010 one because they had an absolutely horrible 2010 World Cup. Sure, they did. Were they in the 2014 one? I don't remember. My memory is shot to pieces. Why don't I remember anything? My memory's gone. My memory's gone. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up there, guys. We're going to wrap things up there. Thank you, each and every single one of you, for being here on this Monday morning, hearing the ranting, raving, and whatever else of this guy. Do me a massive favor, though, people. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And I appreciate each and every single one of you for the love, support, and, of course, for keeping the chat going. You guys are absolutely awesome. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you. Like I say, you guys, always fun to talk to you guys. Always good to talk football with you all. And, of course, it's a bit of therapy, especially if you're the Liverpool fans in the chat. It's a bit of therapy for us to obviously voice that frustration, voice those just annoying feelings out there in the open, because even though we repeat ourselves time and time again, and repetition is probably the common thread of this particular live stream, you know, it's still good to get it all off your chest, isn't it? Still good to just get it out there in the open and just talk about it. Thank you as always, Fletch. Thank you, bro. Like I say, it always helps to have an audience, and you guys have been absolutely awesome. Like I say, do me a massive favor, people. Hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And, of course, I encourage each and every single one of you to get involved in the comment section that will now be on the video. Get involved in the comment section. If you're watching on playback, with your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, about anything that I talked about in this live stream, or anything that you may want to talk about for future live streams to come. Like I say, international football is upon us. The international break is here, and the content is going to be more analysis based, more looking ahead to the end of the season kind of thing, as well as maybe a bit of a review on the season as well. So keep your eyes posted for that. I'm sure there'll be more stuff to come over the course of the next couple of weeks or so. Until next time, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for the love and support. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream, and I'll see you speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll speak to you all again very, very soon. Peace out.